I'll now bring this meeting of the Union Bay Improvement District Board for the 14th of December 2017 to order. I would like to remind, first of all, welcome everybody and Merry Christmas. And I would like to point out that no recording devices are permitted. I ask you to please turn off your recorders and your cameras at this time. There will be a question period at the end of the meeting, as always. And again, they have to be questions, and they have to be posted in a respectful manner. Okay, so the first order of business is the adoption of the agenda that you have in front of you. Please. So could I get the motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Could I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Trustee Watson makes the motion, Trustee second. Are there any questions about adopting the agenda? Any need for discussion on that? Okay, fair enough. Therefore, the agenda is hereby adopted. The next bit of business is the approval of the minutes of the November 16, 2017 public meeting minutes. Could I get a motion to adopt the minutes as presented from somebody?
Make a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
Okay, seconder?
I'll second it.
Therefore, the minutes are approved for November 16th public meeting. Next, we'll move on to reports. Okay, we now move on to the reports, and first up is our Chief Administrator Officer's report, Mr. Gordon Mason.
Okay, the first thing on my agenda is the water infrastructure agreement. As probably everybody's well aware, on Tuesday afternoon at approximately 2:30, the CBRD approved the KIP changes to their MDA agreement, and which also allows us to be able to move ahead with our water treatment plant. And if you want to get more information on the changes to the MDA, they're all on the website. The regional district sent out kind of a press release today, with all the details around that. And I expect to have all of the legal stuff completed absolutely by the end of the year to transfer our 4 acres of land on the border of Musgrave and McPhee by the end of the year for our water treatment plant under the Section 99 as per our water agreement. Everything's pretty well done, and we're hoping to have that done tomorrow. Now the work begins. So and part of that work, I've been working with the ministry for the last pretty well month to put together our borrowing strategy and how we're going to move ahead with our borrowing strategy. So UBID will have to hold a public information session in late January or early February. I haven't actually established a date yet because we still have quite a bit of work on it. There's been a lot of stuff going on regarding the water agreement with KIP, and there are changes to the MDA that's been keeping myself and lots of us quite busy. But now it's pretty well done. So, like I said, the ministry has asked us to hold a public information session. in late January, early February, which time property owners will be able to learn more about the water treatment plant and its associated borrowing. So I'm going to give you just the Coles Notes version of what I've worked out with the ministry. We've been working together to come up with this plan. And so it'll provide an opportunity for the property owners to get a clear sense of what the plant will look like and achieve for the community. It'll provide an opportunity for attendees to leave written comments or questions, which can be followed up by the district staff. We will illustrate the amount of property we'll illustrate the amount of property owner education that has been taking place to date. So we'll have all the information that we need very clearly visible. We'll illustrate the benefits that the project will provide to the community. We'll show how much the project will cost and how the project will be financed. We'll discuss the current agreement with Kensington, how it reduces costs to the property owners by providing land for the plant and the future fire hall. The agreement also facilitates the development of properties that will contribute to the cost of the debt and repayment and the plant operations. A UBID will try to replicate as much of this information as feasible on the website in order to provide an alternative opportunity for property owners to receive the information, ask questions, and provide their comments. So we'll try and replicate what we're going to be doing from a town hall perspective on the website as well. So people will be able to provide comments to the website as well. And we'll continue to keep you posted with everything that we know at the meetings. And if the question comes up later on, which it might regarding the fire hall property, part of the agreement is Kensington Island Properties has approximately 2 years to transfer that project to us. So that's going to be pretty good timing for us. By the time we get the water treatment plant built and up and running, it'll be a really good time to be able to move ahead with the new fire department location as well. The next thing on my agenda is logging in the watershed. So it's been a lengthy process and one that's designed to protect the landowner's interests, which is our clean water in Union Bay. Union Bay is keeping Island Health informed of our progress by forwarding the details of the water treatment agreement with KIP and also the RFPs for the DAP plant. So we're keeping John Hillis from the Vancouver Island Health Authority informed all the way through the process. And we've also, on November the 21st, Peter, Danny, and myself, Danny, our public works foreman, and you know Peter, we went down to meet with Island Timberlands on November the 21st to discuss logging in the Langley Lake watershed. And it's really nice to have VHA's support. John really supports our intentions to protect our watershed. And as I mentioned in our last meeting, Chair Jakes has been doing just a ton of work, you know, towards writing letters. I think he's probably wrote 5 or 6 letters. He supported me in garnering support from other organizations, such as the Comox Valley First Nations, to be able to support us in protecting our watershed. The last thing he did just last week was to write a letter to Honorable Doug Donaldson, the Minister of Forest Lands and Natural Resource Operations and Rural Development, regarding the proposed forestry operations by Island Timberlands in our Langley Lake watershed. So, I mean, this is really good for us, and it really helps me. I'm a little distracted right now trying to get the water plant completed and all the stuff that goes along with that. So by Chair Jakes carrying the torch with this, it really makes a big difference, and we work together and we support each other regarding protecting our watershed. Just gonna have a sip of water here. I've mentioned this at almost every meeting since I've been part of Union Bay Improvement District regarding the problems with our present water billing system. And to the point where it's becoming unworkable. Every time we try and use the system, we have constant failures, just because of the system was basically built in 2004, so that's when we received the software. And I don't think too many people in this room have an operating system on their computer from back in 2004. So you can just imagine that the problems that we have with it every time we try and connect, or anytime we have a new update on our computers with Windows 10, we have failures every time. So we got to download updates, and so. But the board has approved a new software program. It's called a VATIM software program. But one of the things I discovered since they approved that was that the wand that we read our meters with and the handheld unit that we have, the handheld unit hasn't been supported from either a software or hardware perspective for 3 years. So I don't know what they were doing in the past, but they must have been trying to work around it as well. The handheld unit at the end of this year will no longer be supported from either a technical or a software perspective. So it's just like having an old car that you just can't get parts for anymore. So basically, we had to spend an additional $7,600 to be able to buy a new wand. So this wand will be able to read our existing meters, but also it has the latest and greatest technology as well to be able to when we have to upgrade our meters, which isn't too far away, we'll be able to use that same one as well. So we expect this wand will have a similar lifespan as what the one we have now. So probably 10 years, hopefully. And then we also had to buy, part of that $7,300 cost was some connection software between the wand and our new software. So that was about $1,100. So the total cost, like I said, was $7,630. But I don't anticipate any more extra costs for this, because now we're basically replacing the system end to end. The only cost that we'll have regarding this whole system down the road is replacing our meters once their lifespan is up. And that concludes my report. Our next report is the Public Works report. Peter usually takes this one for me. Oh no, actually, no, sorry, I got one. I always forget every time.
Oh, good. Financial.
Yeah. So I provided the latest financial report, basically as of today. I worked on it till about 6:10 this evening to get this done for today's meeting. And as we've had with everything that's been going on with KIP, it's been quite a week, but it's a good week because finally we have a water improvement, or we have a water plant. Everything's in place. So, but if we just run down from a revenue perspective, we're doing well. We're going to probably end up about projected about 8% over in revenue as compared to our projected approved budget from 2017. If you look in the next area under expenditures, the one that really sticks out is we're about $7,000 over budget audit and accounting, and that was because when we had the election, our previous temporary administrator used accountants as the auditors during the election, so that added quite a bit of cost. So that basically resulted in about $8,000. And the only other one in that area is under information technology costs, and that was, we had a server failure in early February, which basically costs us about $3,000 to get fixed. And the next area where we had some red is in subcontractors, which is we're about $30,000 over in subcontractor categories. But once we get our approval in place for the water treatment plant, we'll be able to reverse some of these costs into capital costs. So we'll be able to capture those costs back and make sure that those costs into the capital costs for the water plant itself. And I confirmed that with our accountants just to make sure. And the other one that we're over in remuneration, and administration remuneration, and that was basically Martin G's salary, and part of it was we're about 21,000 over, and that was, a lot of it was to do with the overlap between myself and Martin during that period. Other than that, we're projected to come in about 2% under budget, so at about 98.2% of budget. So we're there, even with the extra $30,000 in operating costs around the subcontractors. And that subcontractor costs are mainly to do with the costs relating to the water treatment plant. We've had to do a lot of stuff, like a lot of surveys, geotechnical surveys, surveying land. We've had to do and also a bunch of work from an engineering perspective with Coors to make sure the site would work. So that's the majority of the costs that relating to that $30,000. And that concludes my financial report for December 14th.
Can I ask a short question?
Yes, you can.
And I know you just finished doing this, and I'm just kind of looking at it now, but so, I mean, it's good we have extra revenue. We had predicted a revenue of $1,061,345, and we had an additional revenue of $86,967. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, even though we have an additional revenue of $86,967, by the time we take into consideration all the extra expenses, that's the only way I can make sense of this, is that we basically ended up with a balanced budget with a $8,000 surplus.
No.
No?
Nope. If you look down here, Jim, if you look under total expenditures,
Yeah.
it says $632,000.
Correct?
Okay, and then our actual expenditures are $620,000. So that's what I mean. We're at this point, we're 2% less. So we have about the expenditures is one budget and the revenues is another. They don't
Relate to each other.
No, they don't.
Well, no, we didn't. So
Well, they do. I mean, yeah.
we
Okay.
brought in an additional 80,000 in revenue, which
Yes.
is great, and always good for revenue. But our predicted total expenditures were $632,191, with a $420,000 413 contribution to reserves. If you take and add those two numbers together, plus the 8,741 at the bottom, you get the 1,061,000, which was our predicted revenue. So our predicted revenue was considerably higher by about $80,000, but at the end of the day, the budget balanced with 8,741. Perhaps I'm reading it wrong, and you can explain it to me later. I don't want to be difficult.
Thanks for your comments, Jim.
It's
My report's over.
Pardon me?
I said, thanks for your comments, Jim. I understand. You said, perhaps I can explain it to you later. And you know what? I think it's better that we talk about it later because
Yeah, I was still talking over it. So I would really like an explanation why, when we had that extra 80,000 income, the total expenditures plus the capital reserves predicted in the approved budget of 2017 don't balance. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so we'll move on from there. Now into the public works report. This is report submitted, of course, by our superintendent, Danny, and it's what he's addressing here is managing risk in the water system. On November 29th, I attended this workshop, and some good points were made for being a water system of our size. A big part of running a water system this size is to be financially sustainable, to provide safe and clean water to our customers, and to be able to plan for the future. There will always be challenges facing the water purveyor, and being financially prepared is the only way to keep moving forward. Minimum price of $1.85 per cubic meter is required to have sustainable infrastructure in a water system the size of Union Bay. Grants are only awarded to improvement districts that can support themselves and being able to comply with ever-changing regulations in the industry. Examples would be purchasing new treatment plants, reservoirs, and pipe replacement. With the average cost to replace an existing asbestos cement pipe being $480 a meter, it will be the biggest cost for a water purveyor in years ahead, not to mention water filtration and reservoirs. These are all expenses borne to each landowner in the water system and will be forever. The rates have to be high enough to cover operating expenses and all future growth without having to borrow money long term. Dan then goes on to water sampling. As the water turbidity is reaching 1.0 NTU, we have been taking extra samples to the labs for bacteriological and turbidity, along with the normal samples taken to the Ministry of Health. The water is doing very good for this time of year, as the November rains usually mean a slow, steady rise in turbidity, going up to 2.5 to 4.0 NTU. We are still sitting right at 1.0 NTU, and it's remaining constant. More testing will be done if the water turbidity rises above 1.0 NTU. The watershed is routinely inspected, culverts are checked, and turbidity samples are taken. And in the water stats, in 1.10 NTU, out 1.05 NTU. Chlorine is 1.75 parts per million free. Water temperature 9.4 degrees Celsius. Water consumption is 350 cubic meters per day, and the Langley Lake height is 15 centimeters. And that's the height of the water over the spill. Yes?
Can I ask a question? I'm assuming Danny's not here.
No, he's not.
Gord, did you attend that as well? I just have a question about a statement about the workshop that I don't understand. Gord, were you there at that?
Which workshop?
The managing risks in water systems?
Yeah, you and Danny.
Yep.
Okay, then maybe you can answer it for me. The sentence is, grants are only awarded to improvement districts that can support themselves and be able to comply with ever-changing regulations. I'm unclear about what grants that is.
I don't have the answer to your question, trust me.
Because improvement districts don't qualify for grants. So I'm just curious about what that means.
Yes, and that's my belief as well.
Yeah.
Mr. Councilor.
Okay.
Where that come from, I don't know. But I noticed that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we can move on to Union Bay Fire Rescue, the Fire Chief's report. The primary purpose of this report is to keep the Union Bay Improvement District Board informed as to the activities and progress on major programs and or objectives. And we go on to an incident summary. The department responded to 7 incidents in November, and we had 7 first responder calls, which no further action was required on them. Total time worked was 4 hours, 20 minutes. Average time on call, 37 minutes. Total number of responders, 12, and average number of responders, 2. We go on to open fire bans in Coastal Fire Center, and currently there's no open burning ban in place. UBID currently does not have an open burning bylaw of its own, therefore we fall under the jurisdiction of the Coastal Fire Center. There are currently no open fire burning restrictions. Refer to the BC Wildlife Management Branch website, www.bcwildlife.ca, for the latest information on current restrictions and fire danger rating. The Coastal Fire Center does not issue fire permits of any kind. However, a registration number for our Category 3 pile, which is greater than 3 meters in width and 2 meters in height, is required. No registration number for our Category 2 pile is required, which is less than 3 meters by 2 meters in width and height. A registration number can be obtained by phoning the Coastal Fire Center at 1-250-951-4222. Regardless of the current burning conditions, the provincial venting index must be followed. It determines when you can burn according to the latest atmospheric conditions. It is a provincial piece of legislation governing air quality throughout the province. You cannot light an open fire of any kind unless the current reading is good. Failure to do so can result in a $1,150 fine. The venting index can be found online by going to hashtag www environmental government BC CA/EPD EPD PA pending HTML. Fire index and using the central Vancouver Island as your location, the local office of environment ministry in Iowa can be reached at 1-250-751-3100 to obtain the current index reading. Remember, it is everyone's responsibility to follow these rules in order to protect. In order to protect air shed from being abused and to protect the health of your neighbors. All these links can be also found. Links can also be found on the UBID website. Training. 3 members have passed their first responder recertification and are now certified for another 3 years. 4 members recently completed their healthcare provider recertification for CPR and AED. Vehicles and vehicle safety. Both engines have passed their annual commercial vehicle inspections, without which they cannot be insured. Membership, the current strength is 16 members. 2 members had to be released due to their new work locations. Fire hall, nothing new to report. Occupational health and safety, all of our SCBAs have passed their annual food testing as required by WorkSafe BC. Public relations and events, nothing new to report. This is submitted by Chief Jackson. Okay, so that's the reports from the Public Works and Fire Department. So can I get a motion that we have these reports filed for reference? So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Trustee Ellen, second, Trustee Burton. Okay, anything arising in that? Yes.
No, I just have a question.
Yes.
before we move on. I don't see the motion that was made last night at the COW meeting. Do we not have to bring that forward to this public meeting?
Well, it's not on the agenda. However, again,
Should be on the agenda.
yeah, it should be on the agenda before we can bring it forward. What happened, and I was remiss in this last meeting. Yeah, in allowing late agenda entries. This will come up at the next meeting, I'm sure.
Well,
It's not on the agenda. It's not on the agenda.
So there was no recommendations from the COW meeting come forward to this meeting?
Not for this meeting, no.
I never received any.
No, at the meeting last night, there was recommendations that were made by the committee of the whole
yeah.
regarding the transfer of the CVRD, regarding doing the study on Union Bay Improvement District, looking at the pros and cons. So that was the agenda item.
Yeah.
And a motion was made at that meeting.
That's correct.
So
It was voted on. But
only recommendations can come forward to COW meetings. So from COW meetings, sorry, to be voted on by the board. So until that motion is voted on by the board, it has really no effect.
it's not on the agenda.
I realize,
Yeah,
do
so-
we intend to
It will be-
forward it to the agendas?
Yes, I imagine it will be on the next agenda. Okay, let's get on to the last item here. And this is a letter written by, signed by 8 residents of Union Bay asking for the resignation of Trustee Kelger. I won't read the letter in its entirety. However, I gather that the these people are asking for her resignation because she committed a breach of conduct in that she misrepresented a announcement she wanted to make at the meeting. So there you have it. I don't think I'll comment anymore on this right now. And we'll now turn the meeting over to
Question,
questions. To a question period.
Chair.
Yes, Kristen.
This letter, will it form part of the minutes of this meeting?
Yes, it's on the agenda.
Okay, so this letter is dated December 6th. It was received by UBIT December 8th, but I received it 3 hours ago. So I feel, in all fairness, and I'm fine with you reading the letter out loud in its entirety so that it becomes part of the record. I feel it's unfair that it formed part of the record. I have a reply. I would like to read my reply specifically addressing the allegations of this letter. So I ask
Okay.
that,
You have, yes, you can,
so,
you
but
can read your reply.
I would like my reply to be included in the minutes, if this letter is going to be included in the minutes.
Yes, it will be.
Okay,
Should be reviewed.
so I would like you to read the letter in its entirety, just for the record, please.
Okay, you can do that.
Microphone.
Oh, well, but, okay.
This letter was addressed to me as board chair, and it is dated 6th November 2017, actions of trustee Gallagher, Chair Jakes. As Union Bay landowners, we, the undersigned, demand the resignation and removal of trustee Suzanne Gallagher from the Union Bay Improvement District Board. Trustee Gallagher fraudulently misrepresented her intentions at the November 16, 2017 board meeting when she asked for a public service announcement to be added to the meeting's agenda. When her PSA came up on her other business, trustee Gallagher immediately began speaking about the board, writing to the CDRD for a study of the pros and cons of becoming a service area of the regional district. She even went so far as to make a motion about this before she was finished. We understand as board chair that you allowed this to play out before calling for a vote on the motion. However, this was contrary to a request for time for a PSA, which she claimed the landowners and tenants would be interested to hear. When she did make her so-called PSA, it was to read a private email from trustee Lawson. This email was of sensitive nature and should not have been read publicly. Her actions completely violated UBIT Code of Conduct Policy 1B02, dated January 18, 2012, which states, trustees shall not disparage the motives, abilities, personalities, or performance of employees and fellow trustees. The remarks from trustee Lawson were private and should not have been read in public as a so-called public service announcement. The serious breach of conduct on the part of trustee Gallagher, first by fraudulently claiming to have a public service announcement of public interest, and second, to publicly disclose the contents of a private email written by another trustee without the author's permission, should be grounds for immediate dismissal from the board. Yours respectfully, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 signatures.
Who are they?
You are the board now. Okay, there you have it, trustee Gallagher.
Okay, and just for the record, the email that is referred to has been included in the minutes, which will form a legal document, because that's what minutes are. So I am surprised, it doesn't even seem like it's on. Is it on now?
Yes.
I have to say, I'm a little surprised that I did not receive it until 3 hours ago, so that put me in a very difficult position. However, I've handwritten a response. And furthermore, so I'll just read my response. And again, the email referred to is now, will be shortly, part of the public record. So, thank you landowners for expressing your concerns. The motion I made on November 16th for UVID to write a letter to CBRD, you'll have to excuse the typos because I only have a few minutes to do this, to examine the pros and cons was not part of my late agenda item, which I labeled public service announcement. This motion was passed, and I just want to explain that what I made was a simple motion that any board member can make at any time, as long as they are recognized by the chair. Motions do not have to be placed on the agenda ahead of time unless they have a financial impact on landowners. There is no cost to UVID to submit a letter to the CBRD to undertake examining the pros and cons of conversion. At the November 16th board meeting, I was recognized by the chair. So I proceeded, and that was entirely legal, fair, and proper. And had we been asked to vote on the minutes, approving the minutes, I would have voted, but we weren't today. I would have voted against approving the minutes because, in my opinion, they're not accurate. So, the email I read out loud under heading public service announcement, and that was an item that I added as a late agenda item, was sent to me by Trustee Loxon and copied to all board members, including Vivian. It was sent to me in the course of conducting board business. Therefore, it is no longer confidential, and since it was about me personally, the letter is mine to share. Loxon's email was a direct, disparaging personal attack upon me personally without just or reasonable cause. It is, in my opinion, Trustee Loxon, it is my opinion that, Trustee Loxon is, okay, the grammar's bad here. That Trustee Loxon has, remember, I was only given 2 hours to write. Well, I had to eat dinner too. Trustee Loxon, who has violated UVID's code of conduct. I believe that the public needs to know what some UVID board members are capable of. As a retired school counselor, I know far too well that abuse thrives in darkness and secrecy. Women have been targeted unfairly and unjustly for far too long. And it's time to shine a bright light on this behavior, as it actually hurts us all. I will not be resigning. Signed, and I also have to note that the video posted of that meeting, November 16th, on the UVID website, has deleted the entire 17 minutes preceding my motion. And I find that very odd and unusual and concerning. So, thank you again to the landowners for expressing your concerns. You have every right to do so. So I
Okay.
will hand that over so that it becomes the
Mr. Mason? Okay, we're now going to move on to the question period. Those of you who wish to ask a question, this is now your chance to do so. This lady back here.
Yeah, I'd like some more explanation from trustee Calder about, I didn't understand that about approving the minutes. The reason why you didn't approve them, I didn't get that. Could you explain that, please?
Go ahead, trustee Kelly. She's supposed to address me as chair, but you should answer the question.
Because the minutes, because the current minutes that we just approved today are not accurate. I thought I assumed the chair was going to call for a vote. From my opinion, they're not accurate. So I would have voted, I would have not put my hand up to vote. So.
Perhaps I could interject something here. We have lost approximately 17 minutes of the minutes.
No, of the video.
Or of the video.
It doesn't have anything to do with it.
No, of the video when we're transposing from.
I can answer that question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have no issue. When I was moving the video from the camera into my computer, and then what I do is I have to take every single video and I have to move it onto a stick. And it was just an honest mistake, and it just happened to be the one section of your video, and that was an honest mistake, and it happened, and all the conversation that went on are captured in the minutes, because I actually did the minutes before I deleted it by accident. So I mean, it is. I mean, you guys both can shake your heads, but it was an honest thing that happened, and that's all I can say. I mean, I'm not a dishonest person, so.
Peter, can I
Shit happens.
comment on that?
Yes.
I mean, it's really because of the political nature, and the polarization that we have on this board of any part of the video that accidentally was deleted was trustee Calger's. You can certainly understand perception.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I apologize.
I'm not gonna get into it myself. I don't think it's right for me to share what I think around that whole issue with the public that are here. Certainly it's up to the public to make that decision for themselves around that time frame that went missing accidentally. So it's so important that we're able to maintain our transparency. I'm not saying that's not what happened here, but it is so unfortunate that it was that section that happened to be deleted. And I really hope everybody just can think about that and the impact that it has on this divided community that we have, and make that decision in their own minds what happened, and hopefully have a good outcome of that. But it's no wonder that we keep having this division in the community when things like this happen. And I'm not going to share my opinion. I was just about to share my opinion, Gord, but I'm not. I think that's up to the individuals that are sitting in this room to decide for themselves what happened.
Okay. Yeah, let's go with somebody over here. This lady over there.
Thank you. I have two questions, is
Yeah.
that right?
Yes.
Okay, so my first one is, you said, Gord, that you had a meeting with Timber West and Island Health. What was the result of that meeting about logging the watershed?
Well,
I'll probably answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
I could probably answer that. I was at the meeting. What has come about is that they still intend to log in the watershed. Yeah, I've written a very strongly worded letter to the Ministry of Lands and Forests. What I've done basically is come out and I've stated that the Union Bay Improvement District Board will not and cannot accept any liability for what might happen in that watershed. We do not own the watershed. We do not own the timber in the watershed. All we own is actually the lake bed up there. And our only responsibility starts when that water enters our distribution system. And that's why we keep a close eye on that dam. We have it inspected regularly. And I've said to the Department of Land and Forest, I suggested to them that there's another, I wish I had the letter here, but I don't right now. There is another entity that is a neutral entity that the government uses to do an independent survey of the lake. And I've asked them to activate, it's a private management land development. I think some of you might be familiar with that. And ask them to do a survey of the lake. And if they decide, I suppose, that they can log in there, then I suppose we don't really have too much of an argument. But it's certainly not going to be on our nickel.
Can you get a sense of where they're sitting?
Well, I just sent the letter here probably about a week or 10 days ago. And I'm hoping what I suggested to them, and I suggested this to Island Timberlands as well, that perhaps the provincial government could look at increasing the buffer zone around the lake. Right now, Island Timberlands can log right up to within 65 feet of the shore of the lake, which is ridiculous. I suggested that they approach Timberlands and see if they can make a deal with them to buy the timber and property to increase the buffer zone to about 500 meters around the lake.
How was that received?
Well, I haven't heard anything back yet, but to me, that only makes sense, and to put a fence around it, because we're getting more development in this area. And as you know, that lake is not very far off the main highway, and we have to protect it. I think, I don't have a problem with Island Timberlands. I mean, I understand that they're in this to make money, and that's the way things work, but not in our watershed. You know, and if the government does that, then we, you know, hopefully we'll have it adequately protected. You have to understand that we only get that water, we get our water from the government under license. Actually, 2 licenses. One is to store the water, that allows us to store the water in Langley Lake, and the other is to distribute it. And we also have a permit from Island Health that allows us to distribute the water. So we really don't have a lot of power here. But I'm making darn sure everybody knows where we're at. And I think the one argument I have with Timberlands is that they seem to think that logging in the watershed and right up to the lake is a healthy thing. And I tried to convince them, well, look, you know, Langley Lake is has a very unique ecosystem. And it's largely dependent on the trees around the lake. Because they're marketing timber, that's why they want to market in there. But not only do the trees keep the lake cool in the summertime, but they also slow down flooding, erosion. It just goes on and on. And if they took those trees out of there, I'm not sure what would happen to the lake, quite frankly. Yeah, it's a real concern, and yeah, we'll see what happens. We're gonna continue to, and, raise
They've
hell.
built in their position to be good corporate citizens.
Yeah, I think, you know, they're aware that they have an image. They have told us that, I think it was 60%, Gord, of their operations have been conducted in watershed areas, and they haven't had any problems, but, you know.
Watch Lake.
Yeah, there you go. See, there's and to me, that was an example of, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, but it was an example of allowing overlogging, okay? And I don't want to see that happen.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
My second question is about the request to the regional district to begin the survey, and I
Yes.
asked when that letter went to them.
It hasn't. Yeah.
Why not?
Well, we don't, again, that was not on the agenda for discussion. So I guess it will be at the next meeting.
But at the last meeting last month, the board agreed that they would do that.
The motion that was passed was that we would seek information from them.
Right.
That was it.
So you have to
Didn't
ask
say
them
when.
that.
No, there was no time limit put on it or anything like that. Yeah, so we'll see when we bring motion, when we bring the approval forward of the motion, then we can discuss it. Okay, Ms. Lady over here.
You said on regards to the, our water, Langley Lake and Timberlands, that Island Health was on our side. Did they say what they were going to do on their part with Island Timberlands? Exactly.
Well, not really, no.
Why would that question be asked? That's quite an important question.
Well-
to ask them what,
Yes, it is.
if Island Timberlands has no problem logging and affecting all of our water supply, I'm sure that Island Health would have some sort of mandate to help us and to inform the Human Bay Improvement District.
Island Health was at this meeting with Island Timberlands. And I have kept them informed. Every letter I've written in this regard, I have we've sent a copy to Island Health. They are concerned. That's all they will tell me right now. They don't appear to have a plan in place, not at this point. So, yeah, we're just, you know,
But shouldn't the board find out what their plan is and put some pressure on Island Health? Thought you said in the last November meeting that they plan on logging in 2018.
That's right, in the fall of August 2018 is when they plan to conduct operations. All I can tell you is that we've made them aware of it, and we have made them aware of our concerns, and they say they are concerned, so we'll just see what
Can the
plays
board
out
not
here.
find out what their plans are so that the residents of Union Bay?
I don't think, I don't know, I mean, I haven't been advised that they have any plan yet. We're still in the stages of this. The next step, I think, is that Island Timberlands has agreed to have another meeting in January. And perhaps something might be forthcoming from the Department of Lands, Forests and Natural Resources at that point in time. We'll just have to wait and see what the response will be.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. The lady down the end, Mary, has had her hand up.
Yes,
since the
I
beginning,
understand that, trustee.
And you haven't recognized her.
No, I've been trying to work my way down the room, okay?
Well,
Okay, Ms.
Yes,
Reynolds.
I have two questions.
Yes,
The first one is the financial statements from 2017 and your approved ones for
2018, your water tolls go from 345,000 to 445,000. I was wondering, are you planning on upping the water tolls by almost 30% in order to make that?
I'm not quite sure I understand. We've not increased the water tolls, ma'am.
Well, it is. There is a $100,000 increase. I took it from your. It's on the website.
Yes, I understand that. That's from new properties coming online, as I take it.
No, it says water tolls.
So it's revenue. It's revenue from the water tolls.
Yes.
Yeah, we're basically projecting the same,
Hang on a second. I'll let Mr. Mason.
Okay.
we're projecting the revenues that we received in 2017 into 2018 based on, because people are using a lot more water, there's more people coming on board. So we're just basically projecting the revenues forward for the water.
A 30% increase?
Yeah, that's, if you look at our actuals, that's what it's coming out to, so
Okay.
yes.
And my second question is, unless you put those videos in a video editing program, you wouldn't have been able to erase any of that. Plus, what you should be doing is giving the card from the camera to the webmaster. There's no reason for you to
know,
transfer it.
Mary, you're absolutely right. And that's what I'm doing next time.
Yeah.
And I apologize, it was an honest mistake.
No, it wouldn't. It had to be done
No,
intentionally.
just
That's an accusation. She's out of
yeah,
order.
you know what, just let me finish. If anybody wants to come in, when I can show you, especially Trustee Elliott, who just made the remark earlier, if you want to come into the office, I'll show you how it works and how they're downloaded on 17-minute sections and how I made the mistake. It was an honest mistake.
And I
Honestly.
didn't disagree with you.
I'll come in and have a look. I'll take you up on that offer.
Okay,
Gladly.
yes.
Would it be helpful for the individual landowners to call VHA and say they're worried about Landy Lake? If,
Well, I can't see anything wrong with that.
think
You
that's
know,
a good idea.
by all means.
I was going to suggest something similar, that the landowners could start a letter writing campaign
Yes.
for the Minister of Lands and Forests. And if they feel, if they get a flood of letters similar in context,
Yes.
then they're going to take notice. I mean, yes, you've addressed it, but if there's enough landowners start addressing
By all means, yeah. We can only, being a small board, we can only do so much, right? And, yeah.
I don't want
Yes, sir.
Has anybody phoned Comox Indian Chief to let them know that his water supply might be going to NFL?
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, actually, Comox First Nations have been CC'd on all the letters we've written. I believe almost all of them anyway.
Yeah, and we've also met with them as well.
Yeah,
And
they're concerned.
And their First Nations chief is actually a lady.
Trustee Young?
Yes, could I suggest then, if people are going to be willing to write letters, that we post something on our website telling them who they could write letters to if they are concerned with the logging
Absolutely,
plan?
yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, we do that.
Good point.
Yes, lady? Yeah,
I
back
just
there?
have one last question.
Yes.
But I think that the UBID board on this water of Langley Lake should be more aggressive on that. They've been aggressive on other issues. I think they should be really aggressive on this because we know how government works, how Island Health, they just take forever. Every government office takes forever. Before we know it, it's going to be August 2018, or maybe they'll decide to log it earlier. Okay, that's what.
If you'd been at that meeting with Island Timberlands, I don't think I was very well received because, trust me, I was aggressive.
He's aggressive.
Oh, very, yes, very.
So anyway,
I was there.
Yes, ma'am.
I haven't finished though. I would
Sorry?
like to- I had a question.
Yes.
I'd like to know what happened to the October 2018 minutes on the website. Did that get deleted by accident or 2017, I'm sorry.
Over 2017 minutes and not on the website?
No.
It should be.
It should be.
Video?
because
The
I was
minutes or the
gonna
video?
refer back.
Sorry, the video.
The minutes?
The
or
video.
The video.
Video.
The video.
Roll the video.
I'll be honest, I just took it down. I thought we'd put the next one up and take the old one down.
But-
That's what,
Well,
so, yeah,
Well, the minutes are still there.
the minutes are there,
but-
so.
All right, yes, ma'am.
on there.
Hi, I'm going forward on this recording thing.
So, is it always just video recorded and the audio is with it? Because I remember we had a discussion about this many
Yeah,
months
no,
ago.
the audio was with it.
Okay, so there is still an audio recording of the previous meeting?
No.
No,
No,
not that one segment, that, we lost that.
Perhaps that'd be a way going forward to deal with that, because it would be two separate, so it would be video recording
Somewhere.
and an audio recording, and then that could certainly be used with regards to the minutes, because as you say, you had already used the recording to
Yeah.
draft up the minutes. But if you hadn't, that might have been a problem.
Yeah, it would serve as a backup, for
Yeah,
sure.
it would serve as back. That was
Okay.
just one question, sorry, couple more.
All right.
I'll
Wow.
try very quick.
Try to work everybody
Yes,
else
one
in.
more. Yeah, okay. So on the water infrastructure agreement, was there any changes that was made to that? It was an update, so that was.
You mean, well, not with us, no, we
No.
signed that some time ago. I
That's
think
right.
you're
So nothing-
referring, you may be referring to the master development agreement
Well,
with
it just
Kensington
said
and
here,
the
the
CDRD.
reports regarding the water infrastructure agreement update. So, and you did talk about the master development agreement being approved just before.
No,
Yeah.
Hopefully
there was no
will be-
changes, there was
So the
no
land will
changes.
be able to be transferred. and all
Yes,
sorts of
as a
things.
matter
I
of-
want to make sure that there
As
was.
a matter of fact, we hope to accomplish that very, very shortly.
Okay, that's great. And then I'll be very brief on this, but I am baffled as to why board does not seem to want to allow this report on pursuing information from the CDRD as the pluses and the negatives. You know, we all have a right to that information as landowners. We'll make our own decision with regards to it, but we have all the information. All we're doing is asking you to write, as a board, to write a letter requesting that report. And I'm truly baffled every time it comes up that you seem to be not willing to.
Okay, that will be on the next agenda.
Oh, that's not good enough. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, that's the way it
I've been waiting
works.
for over a year for this, so
Yeah.
this is really not good
Okay.
enough.
Sorry.
Yes,
Thank you. Going back to the assumption that the administration made about just deleting, removing the previous months, that was not my understanding when we talked at length about changing the bylaw. The reason being is there's people traveling, people away. There should be no reason why all the videos, because, for example, things are getting lost and deleted, so it provides a, so is there a way, Board, to put that back up, the October video?
Well, that's something the board can take under consideration.
that's something we can talk about at our next executive meeting. Okay, if there's nothing else, then let's, I'll give a motion for adjournment. Okay, we're done. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.